2025 is just a few clicks away. AI agents are emerging. Next generation language models are right around the corner, and Qwen 2.5 is proving that local models are no longer a dream. It's become absolutely clear to me that your success and my success hinges on one thing. Among all the change over the past year, one thing has stayed constant, the foundation of it all, the unsung hero that we now take for granted. It's the way we talk to information itself. I'm of course talking about the prompt. At first, prompt engineering was a complete joke. Now, prompt engineering is not just a good skill to have, it may be the most valuable skill you can develop for 2025 and beyond. Before we continue this channel's mission of building living software with advanced techniques like metaprompting, let's hit pause for a moment right here in Q4 2024 and take time to review the new fundamental unit of knowledge work, the prompt. This way, we'll set ourselves up to win in 2025 with all the advancements right around the corner. In this video, I'll reveal my 4-level framework that turns good prompts into great ones, and great prompts into reusable assets that scale across your tools and applications. All right, so I'm going to open up the terminal, move to a temporary directory, and crack open cursor. Create a empty file, touch prompt.txt. And this will create an empty text file. You can see there's nothing else going on in this directory. I'll write ping, save this file, and we're going to run prompts on this file using the LLM library by Simon Willison and the Ollama library. Link will be in the description for this. LLM is a tool that lets you run prompts right from your terminal. The basics are everything. Let's start with the level 1 prompt. We can type LLM and then direct the prompt file into this CLI tool, and then we'll get a response like this. Pong, how can I assist you today? This is all we need to run our prompt on a large language model. We can tweak this to get different outputs. We can say count to 10, then back to 0. And then we can hit up and just rerun our prompt. And you can see here, of course, we're counting up to 10 and back to 0. We can make a couple tweaks to the prompt to get different outputs. We can say Python, save, and then rerun. And now we'll get that exact same output in Python. We can tweak it again. We can say in XML, rerun. And of course, we'll get something like an XML output. Nice. So we're going to get count up, count down. So just by adding a few keywords, we can change the prompt completely. Anyone that's still saying prompt engineering isn't a real skill, is in denial, they don't know what they're talking about, or they just don't know how to prompt themselves. So what about the model we're using? Using this library, we can type LLM models to get a breakdown of all of the models available to us. I've installed a couple additional LLM plugins. You can see I have the Gemini models here, I have Anthropic, and of course we have OpenAI models as well. Let's go ahead and run this exact same prompt using the new Gemini experimental. I'll just copy this here, and we can run this with -m, paste the model, and then we'll do the exact same thing, right? I'm going to direct our prompt into this CLI tool. Okay. And now we're getting that output from Gemini experimental, and that looks great. It's giving us an explanation. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and tweak this prompt a little bit. Let's say we want to output a SQLite table user, and then we'll give it a pseudo JSON format. So I'll just say ID, email, address, and is member. And now let's go ahead and rerun that. And let's go ahead and use, let's use a 4.0 mini model. Okay, so now we're running GPT 4.0 mini. Fantastic. Let's tweak this prompt a little bit, and we'll say exclusively. So now we're tuning this ad hoc level 1 prompt a little bit, and we'll hit up and just rerun this on 4.0 mini. And you can see we're exclusively getting the output for this SQL table. That looks great. We can also run with local model providers. So we can use Ollama for this, of course, and we can just type Ollama, run, Llama 3.2, and I have the 1B installed. And then same thing, we can direct the prompt into the tool. Okay, so you can see Llama 3.2, 1 billion parameter, not following the instructions perfectly, but this is a small model. This is to be expected. Let's go ahead and run a more powerful model. Let's run Ollama run Qwen 2.5 coder 14B. and we'll do the same thing. We'll pass the prompt into the output, and let's see what Qwen gives us here. Okay, so also not perfect, but not bad either, right? We're getting a SQLite database table generated from a simple JSON-like structure. So the great part about using libraries like LLM or Ollama in the terminal is that you have full control over rapid prototyping and experimenting with prompts across models and model providers. What does that mean exactly? You can see here we're rapidly prototyping on several models. If I hit up here a couple times, we can come in here, tweak this, and if we wanted to, we can run Claude 3.5, Haiku, run the exact same thing, and you can see Haiku giving us a super precise output here. We can say Postgres table instead and rerun it, and we'll get a slightly different syntax because now we're requesting a Postgres table, okay? So we're just playing with this level 1 prompt. If we want to, we can do something like this, right? I can say touch many models.sh, and if we open that up and go back to LLM models and just list out all of our models, I can come in here and just copy a couple models, paste in, let's go ahead and grab a couple of OpenAI models. Let's grab a couple of Claude models as well. And then since we're here in Cursor, I'm just gonna highlight this and run a quick prompt on this and say create LLM-M for omini redirect prompt.txt, replace -m with each model alias. Okay, so I'm just running an ad hoc AI coding prompt here to automatically build our run command for all of these models that we're running using the LLM library by Simon Willison, right? So I'm just gonna write all these out and let's get rid of a couple here. I don't really need to run all of these models. That looks good. And now we can do this, right? Now we can just say sh many models and let this kick off, right? So now our prompt is gonna run over each one of these models and give us the output. So you can see we're getting a lot of great consistent outputs. And this is the power of really having control over your prompt and having great tools like Ollama and LLM to work with. You want to control your prompts. You want to be working with them in a quick way. You want to be prototyping with them, and you want to be understanding the outputs of individual models right next to other models, right? Whenever new models come out, or whenever I have an idea for a prompt, this is how I like to explore, create a simple prompt file, come in here with a couple of CLI tools like LLM or Ollama, dig in, experiment, and really understand the most important piece of the generative AI age, the prompt. All right, so if you're enjoying this so far and you're learning something new, hit the like, smash the sub, and let's move on to level 2 prompts. A level 2 prompt is a reusable prompt that you can use to solve well-defined, simple problems. The big difference is that you specify additional information up front that you change over time as you improve your prompt and learn more about the problem you're trying to solve. You do this by setting and creating static variables inside your prompt. Let me show you exactly what that means. So I'll clear out the prompt and then I'll use one of my code snippets. This code snippet is prefixed with px1. And if I hit tab here on this code snippet, you can see we now have this XML prompt structure. Let's take our previous JSON to SQL prompt and upgrade it to a level 2 prompt where it's much more reusable. Adding structure to your prompt like this generally increases performance. I'll link a video where we discuss the best prompt format in the description. The TLDR there is XML gives you top performance, especially as your prompts become more complex. Why is this? It's because large language models were trained on the web, and the web is full of HTML, and HTML is a subset of XML. So let's fill out this prompt and start with the purpose. Let's start by saying convert the TypeScript interface. So we're going to expand this a little bit into a SQL table. Okay. So that is the purpose of this prompt. Now we've clearly defined this. Let's go ahead and add instructions on exactly how to accomplish this goal. Use Postgres dialect, respond only with the table definition, and we'll just keep it to 2 instructions for now, right? So we have a list of instructions here. And the important part here is that we can, whenever we need to, come in here and just add, I think I have XXI. We can come in here and just add instructions as we need to, right? So you can come in here and define as many specific rules and situations to solve the problem by adding additional instructions just like this, right? So we're gonna start with just 2 instructions. And then we're going to have one kind of primary variable here, interface block. What we're going to do here is save this prompt. Right here, right now, this prompt is now reusable. We are not just writing ad hoc natural language and handing it off to an LLM. We're defining a solution to a problem in a reusable way. Now, whenever we need to, right? So, we can come in here and just say CP prompt, and this is going to be TS to SQL table .xml. Now, whenever we want to, we can open up this file and copy this. Let's go ahead and replace our prompt as if we were, starting up a new prompting session. And now we can execute this prompt. So let's come in here and we'll say interface users, the string, paste that a couple times and then tweak it, right? So email created, and then we'll say is member, okay? And this will be a Boolean. We'll have a number here. Let's go ahead and run this with 4.0. So we can get that 4.0 command fired back up. And you can see we got that output perfectly, right? Only respond with table definition. We can tweak this. So say we wanted to name it something else. Say this is avatar, right? And we also have image, right? We just tweak the prompt a little bit, fire it back off. And what do you know? Our prompt solves the same type of problem in many different ways thanks to our static variable here. So why is it a static variable? As we'll see with level 4 prompts, this can be updated automatically with the help of code. We'll get to that in a second, and we need to properly spell interface. Perfect. So this is great, right? We can run this with any model we want to. So we can hop back into our Ollama and run this with Qwen. And you can see something interesting here. Remember, before, Qwen actually bombed on our previous ad hoc prompt when we were just running it ad hoc with the exclusive language in just the kind of single line. But in our XML format, it created the output we wanted perfectly for us, right? So just a kind of interesting thing to note here as we move through the levels of the prompt, you're going to see lower tier local models perform better. And you're going to see your top higher tier models, right? Your Sonnets, your Gemini Pros, your reasoning models, O1, you're going to see those perform even better than they were before. This structure really pays off. Definitely spend some time. Again, I'm going to link that video in the description. Spend some time to really dial in your prompts and your prompting structures. Okay, so another incredible thing about creating more reusable prompts like this, we can come in here and add, I'll say XXI instruction. And now we can just tweak this. For instance, let's say also respond with create, update, select, and delete statements for this table. So say you just wanted to, get a head start on, creating some test data or mock data, or writing up a bunch of queries that allow you to get a head start on working with this table, right? You could come in here, add a single instruction, and then rerun. Let's go ahead and give this to Qwen, and let's see Qwen get to work. So you can see here, we have the create table statement, we have the insert, now we're getting the update, and now we're getting the select and the delete. Just by adding one line, we now have this great reusable prompt that we can expand in capabilities as we're working through the use case and the domain problem set that we're aiming to solve, okay? So level 2 prompts, really powerful. I hope you can see where this is going, and I hope you can see why it's so important to not just run random prompts into, ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. That's great, that's powerful. It's not like one level is better than the other, but as you move up these levels, you're going to be able to do more. And just so it's super clear, you can take this prompt and fire it off into ChatGPT, and you can also fire it off into Claude, right? And they're going to give you a great high quality answer just as before, right? We can even go to Gemini, put this out here, and you can see it's giving us, legitimate responses. We have that here. We have Claude's response. That looks great. And it looks like ChatGPT is giving us 2 versions. This looks great. One is templated, one is full out. So these prompts work in any chat interface talking to any model. And level 1 prompts are just as important as 2, 3, and 4. You're going to want to be using every one of these levels, but you want to understand what level you're at and when you need to bump up to the next level. So speaking of bumping up, let's go ahead and move on to level 3 prompts. Level 3 prompts continue the trend of reusability through prompt templating but as an essential element you've definitely heard of by now: examples. So I'm going to go ahead and just clear this out. Let's create a level 3 prompt for a classic LLM use case. Summarizing content. We're going to add a spicy take to it. You can use examples to guide the output you're looking for. Let's go ahead and write a prompt. I'm going to run px2, so I'm going to create 2 additional blocks. And let's just walk through this. So I'll say summarize the given content based on the instructions and example output. Okay, so I'm going to tab a couple times here. There's going to be our example output, and then we're going to have our content down here. So we can go ahead and create a placeholder here, output in markdown format. So we're just walking through our instructions for the prompt. We're telling the LLM how we want it to act. Summarize into 4 sections. High level summary. Let's do main points, sentiment, 3 hot takes biased toward the author, and 3 hot takes biased against the author, right? Just so we can create some diversity of thought there. And then we're going to say, write the summary in the same format as the example output. So this is super important. You want to be using a consistent prompt format for another really important reason. You can see here we have example output listed 4 times in total, right? 2 times as a reference, and the last time as the actual reference point. So this is really important because when you have sections like this, your LLM knows where to look, right? It creates structure for the LLM. You can see we reference instructions right here. And, again, we have this referencing capability. Our LLM is now, reading this top to bottom, understanding everything we want it to do because we're referencing other sections inside of the prompt, okay? So this is good. Let's go ahead and create our example output. I'm just going to walk through the sections. And I think we actually have 4 sections here, right? Who cares? Let's walk through them. High level summary. And let me turn on cursor tab here for some auto completion help. I'll type ... and then it should be autocomplete for me after this. Perfect. And then let's walk through the hot takes. Exactly. Okay. And I actually want to add title here. Yep, exactly. And then I want double hashtags here. And, I'm just walking through creating this format. There we go. Shout out to the Cursor Bros for creating a great tabbing experience. Okay. We have this great prompt. We don't have any content yet because right now what we have is a prompt template. Let's go ahead and copy our template into a file, cp prompt, and we'll call this spicy summarize. Okay. We have a couple prompts, and actually we want this to be an XML file. So I'll just say cp spicy, and I'll change that to XML. Okay, great. So now we have this XML file. Now, whenever you need to, you can come into your personal prompt library, copy this out, paste it into a prompt, and then actually fill in some content. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in this blog post from Simon Willison. Shout out Simon Willison, absolutely legendary engineer. And we're just going to copy this whole thing and use this as our content. Normally I would use a CLI tool for this, but it's short enough that we can just copy and paste in to our content. Let's clear the output and let's run our spicy summarization prompt here, right? So we'll go ahead and say, let's see, who do we want to run here? Let's go ahead and give the new experimental a shot and let's fire this off. So you can see here, we have that title, we have our high level summary, and now we're getting our main points, right? Just as we specified, there are main points right there. It's giving us a clear sentiment. And now we're getting our hot takes, biased toward and biased against the author, okay? So if we copy these out here, open up a new file, and if we open up the preview here, we can walk through this in a nice formatted markdown document here, right? This is great, right? We now have this kind of clean write-up of this blog. We can look at the main points here: sentiment, Qwen 2.5 coder, game changer, local coding, powerful, running locally, no dependencies, new era where AI tools are more accessible, 100%. And then, I think this is always great to see. Whatever information sources you're getting, you want to have the opposite take as well, right? Benchmarks are promising, but need further validation. Okay. Model performance good, lags behind top tier, also true. Huge resource requirements, also true, right? So it's nice to have this kind of balanced take. And now we have a prompt that allows us to, very quickly, very rapidly, create summaries for us, right? And again, you can always take this prompt and you don't have to use a tool like this, right? You don't have to use LLM or Ollama. You can take it and throw it into whatever your favorite chat interface is. Always keep in mind, I think it's really important to have a prompt library, and you want to have the capabilities, especially as an engineer, to be able to run these prompts in a fast, ad hoc way. And if we want to, remember we have this many models shell script that we quickly created. We can just fire this off against our new prompt here. So we can run many and just have this give us multiple takes of our summary for this blog, right? Kind of interesting to see. I'll let 2 fire off here. I want to see 1.5 Flash spit this out super quickly here. There we go. Love to see that speed. Yep. Very nice. And then it's going to hit Pro 2, which is probably going to be the same as latest. And we'll just stop it there, right? We don't actually need to walk through every model. So really cool stuff, right? This is our level 3 prompt. And I hope you can see why this is game changing. The level 3 prompts are defined by having concrete examples that steer the output. If we remove the example, what we have here is a great level 2 prompt. We don't need a specific output. So it's just kind of a, highly defined, well-structured prompt that solves a specific problem well. We can hop into this prompt, replace the content, and get a nice dynamic range of output. But if we need to go that extra level and we're looking for information to be in a specific form, which as engineers, as product builders, we often are, right? We're often tweaking, modifying, and reformatting information into a new package. You'll oftentimes want example outputs, right? And just a list of outputs that show exactly how you want your model to respond. One more cool thing here I want to show you that you can do with CLI tools like this. If you want to, you can run something like this. We can say LLM-M, and I want to run Gemini Flash. Actually, let me see the models again. I forget what this model is called. There we go. Yeah, I want to run Flash 2. This is one of my new favorite models. Then we can run LLM-M, Flash 2, and direct our prompt into the file. Let me go ahead and paste that back in. Then we can direct the output right to a file. So we don't need this information in our terminal. Usually what we want to do is act on this information, right? So we can store this directly to a file using the greater than. Qwen is awesome. And I always like to add the model. So we're going to say G Flash 2. This is going to be a .markdown file. Okay, so we're going to let Gemini Flash just blast through this. And now if we open up our files, we'll see that right here, right? And of course we can see the preview. And once again, we have a solid breakdown, right? This is a fantastic blog post, by the way. This is Simon Willison writing a note on Paul's AIDERS benchmark, talking about, AI coding benchmarks. Really, really great stuff here. I was super happy to read through this. And then he goes on to, talk about the MLX version. Anyway, great blog post. I'll link this below. Let's move on to level 4 prompts. As a level 4 prompt, we would basically just replace this with content. And if you've built any LLM-based tool or application, you already know where this is going, right? And you know why this is so important. This is it. This is the difference between a level 3 and a level 4 prompt. Now this prompt is infinitely scalable, right? We're no longer ad hoc coming in and updating our prompts, which, don't get me wrong, that's a very useful practice. It's very quick, but this lets us scale our prompt into code, into production. This allows us to create dynamic variables and allows us to create prompts that we can update on the fly. We can add as many variables here as we need, right, based on whatever problem we're trying to solve. This is a real prompt that I use to generate YouTube video chapters. So you can see here we have a dense purpose. I have a whole set of instructions here that define how to solve this problem. And then we walk through several examples. Let me change the language mode here, or XML mode. Okay, you can see we have several examples. So not just one example, but we have 3 examples of how we want the YouTube chapters to look like. And if you of course, click into a description of a YouTube video with chapters, you'll see this exactly. So this is just a really hands-on example of using a prompt to solve a real problem. We have examples showing the exact output. And then down here at the bottom, we have 2 dynamic variables. And if we search this, references to this, right? And we have references to this as well, right? So we have our SEO keywords that we want to hit in our chapters. And then we have the transcript with timestamps. Every single generative AI application that is not a chatbot is effectively a L4 prompt. It's a level 4 prompt, a prompt that has a specific purpose. It has a set of, static variables, a set of static instructions that they update to improve the prompt, but are not usually updated. They have a set of examples to guide the output of the LLM. And then lastly, and most importantly, they have dynamic variables making the prompt infinitely scalable. If you're using Aider, Cursor, Windsurfer, and really just any non-chatbot tool, it's effectively a level 4 prompt, right? That brings us full circle. Like everything that's happening right now in the generative AI age, all of these brand new tools and ideas and applications, it's all just prompts, right? It's all prompts that you can execute with something as simple as the LLM library, right? LLM ping. This is all it is. And, this is why I ditched AutoGen. This is why I ditched LangChain. I ditched all of these kind of premature abstracting tools. It's been over a year since I've, ditched these tools. And it's for this reason. The prompt is the new fundamental unit of knowledge work. I've said that on the channel before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it is so important that you stay close to the metal and master the currency of the generative AI age, right? The unit of intelligence, right? It's the tokens that build the prompt, and the prompt is what gives you the extraordinary abilities to modify, create, update, and delete information at incredible rates. Everything is about the prompt. Great, you have a prompt. Now it's time to build a unique tool that allows you to use and tap into your prompt libraries and all of your prompt templates like this that you've built up, right? This is something that we've covered on the channel. I have this tool. If I type PFS, it automatically opens up for me. And this is my prompt library. If we search and we select a couple of models, I like to use O1 Mini here, and of course Sonnet and Flash just for speed. And then if we hit submit, you can see we have text areas for those two variables. You can see here we have the selected prompt, click to show. You can see that exact prompt we were just looking at, clean XML format, ready to go, ready to get their dynamic variables replaced in this simple prompt library. This is using a tool we've covered on the channel called Marumo. I'll go ahead and link that video in the description where we built our own personal prompt library. This is going to be a really important trend for us moving forward. You want to be able to tap into your prompts, to tap into the intelligence of the LLMs as quickly as you possibly can. So I'm not going to run this. Go ahead and check out that video if you're interested to see where this is going. Generative AI enables us to solve a massive array of problems faster than ever before. The question is, do you have the AI tooling and, more importantly, the right prompt to solve the problem? After you build the prompt, it's time to scale it up by moving it through the levels of prompts, levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that you can scale it up and put it inside a tool or application that solves a specific problem for you very well. After you take your prompt and you put it inside a piece of code that solves a specific problem very well, you've built the key piece of your AI agent. Let me know in the comments what you think about this 4-level prompt framework. I've personally used it to create hundreds of prompts across several domains. We have exciting videos coming up on the channel to wrap up 2024, including metaprompting and our 2025 predictions video. I'll make predictions on what I think will happen in 2025 and how I'm going to prepare for it. We touched on this a little bit in a video I did a couple weeks ago. I'll link that as well. We're also going to take the time to recap on my 2024 predictions. So that's going to be an interesting one. We're of course going to cover the release of O1, Opus 3.5, and the new Gemini model that are all set up to be released in the next month or so. We're going to be building our own custom AI coding benchmarks. And of course, as I've mentioned, the foundational AI coding course is coming in December. Like, subscribe, drop a comment. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Stay focused and keep building.